If you run a contracting company with just a few full-time guys on payroll and you feel like you're drowning, you might think it's time to hire someone new. What if I told you that 60% of contractors in your situation don't need to hire anyone? But before you potentially waste 80 grand on the wrong hire, I'm gonna show you how to figure out if you even need to hire anyone at all. Then, if you do pass this test, I'll give you the exact framework to choose between a sales rep, a foreman, or an office person. Let's find out if hiring is even your real problem, because for the last 5 years, I've helped literally hundreds of contractors and remodelers hire and train foremen, sales reps, and office assistants in their business. And most of the time, their focus is just on the wrong place. So let me paint you a picture that might sound familiar that's actually based on a couple of contractors we work with. And I'm gonna combine them into this person named Jake. Jake runs a bathroom remodeling company in Texas. Last year did around $500,000 in revenue with 3 employees on payroll. And here's what Jake's typical week looked like. Writing estimates until midnight because he just couldn't get to them over the weekend. He's working 30 hours a week, actually on the tools, swinging the hammer. He's driving materials, meeting with customers, and pulling permits. Jake was making decent money, but working 65 hours a week and constantly firefighting. The problem is he had 3 critical bottlenecks, but he can only really afford to solve one. There's the sales bottleneck, where there's not enough bids being sent out, the job site bottleneck, where he's always needed on job sites for decisions, and then the office work bottleneck, where he's drowning in office work and project coordination. Most contractors make this decision based on what's screaming the loudest that week. And that's how you end up wasting 80 grand and maybe a year of your time. So here's how to make this decision strategically, not emotionally. Answer these 3 questions. But if you can't answer any of the questions, or if your answer to a lot of the questions is, oh no, or this doesn't really apply to me, then you don't need to hire anybody. Question number 1, if you spent all your time calling leads and doing bids, how much more work can you close per month? If you can easily double the amount of projects in your pipeline and even your revenue, then you have a sales problem. So hire a sales rep if you don't have the time to write bids, you're too busy to follow up properly, you hate the sales process, and you have the production capacity, you have the team, but not enough work. For Jake's situation, he can more than double if he spent that time doing sales. However, we need to make it exceptionally clear that hiring a sales rep will take a lot more time and effort. So you need to make sure that you have the time and that your job sites can run without you. Because if your job sites are chaotic, then adding more work will just add more chaos. Which brings me to question 2. How many hours a week do you spend on the tools or babysitting your team? If you spend more than 20 hours a week on any of the above, you have a production problem. So hire a foreman if your crew can't make decisions without you, quality suffers when you're not on site, and you can't run multiple job sites simultaneously, and you really want to try to get to 3 active job sites. Jake's reality is that he gets called like 20 times per day and he has to visit each job site daily. But what if he also spends a lot of time on the computer, responding to emails, paperwork, which brings me to question 3. How many hours do you spend on admin? If it's more than 15 hours per week, you have an operations problem. So you need to hire an office assistant if you're doing scheduling, permit runs, material ordering, client communication is falling through the cracks, you're working nights just to catch up on paperwork, cash flow management is reactive, not proactive. Jake's audit shows that he spends 10 hours per week on admin tasks. So based on the framework, Jake has all 3 problems. He could double the amount of work booked if he had the time. He's spending 20 hours a week on the job site, and he's spending 10 hours a week on office work. So the decision was we helped him hire a foreman first. Why? Because the production burden was preventing him from fixing the other 2 problems. He couldn't focus on sales training or systems development while spending 20 hours a week just literally babysitting. And it can cost around $65,000 to $75,000 on a foreman per year. And if you can't afford that right now, then you can probably give responsibility to one of your guys until you have the cash flow to grow. And in some places, it might cost you over 100 grand. So if you're watching this and you're wondering, well, how can I make sure that I'm making the right decision? I built this checklist for you that can actually help you get the snapshot on who to hire next. It breaks down exactly what to focus on at each revenue stage, which employees to hire first, the systems that actually matter for your specific level. Like whether you're grinding solo or you got 17 crews, this guide literally shows you the clear path to scaling without losing your mind. It's completely free, grab it in the description below. Back to Jake's journey. Within 90 days, Jake went from working 65 hours a week to 45 hours. His job sites started running themselves. He could finally focus on sales without his phone buzzing every 20 minutes. And that freed him up to close 40% more work. Revenue started jumping from around $500,000 to around $700,000. But what really mattered to Jake was now he had time to make his kids soccer games, baseball games, and actually have dinner with his family, and maybe even take a vacation without the business falling apart. So what are your next steps? First, run through these 3 questions that I just gave you. If you're stuck on the tools for more than 20 hours, get a foreman. If paperwork is taking more than 15 hours a week and you can't be more efficient, get an office assistant. And if you have the above figured out and you're just drowning in bids and leads, then hire a sales rep. The goal isn't just to hire somebody, by the way, it's to hire the right person at the right time. So if you run a construction business and you found this video helped you to think more strategically, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. And don't forget to grab the 6 levels guide in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching. Leave a comment if you have specific questions. Cheers.